Welcome one and all to the second session of day 4 of Faculty Development Program 2021, organized by KIIT School of Mass Communication. This is Souptik, Garai, your moderator for this session. Today we begin with a session by Dr. Archana R Singh, Professor, School of Communication Studies, Panjab University in Chandigarh. Dr. Singh will be talking on the topic, Teaching the Digital Natives, Jet Lags of Time Travel. I'll invite Dr. Bidubhushan Das, the course coordinator at School of Mass Communication and Journalism at KIIT, to welcome Dr. Archana R Singh. Over to you, Bidubhushan.
Thank you, Souptik. Good evening, esteemed the speaker and dear participants. It's a privilege and honor to introduce Professor Archana R Singh, a senior academician of communication studies from our country. Professor Singh has more than a decade of journalism practice and more than 2 decades of journalism and communication teaching experiences. As she was a journalist in early career, she still writes features for newspapers, make radio programs for the university community radio, make documentaries for her university, write poetry for leisure, and record some voiceovers from time to time. Professor Singh is a senior professor at the School of Communication Studies, Punjab University, Chandigarh. She is editor of Punjab University Research Journal, Social Sciences, and coordinator of the University Radio. Professor Singh was nominated as the member of Film and Television Institute of India, FDI Society, by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting recently, and elected as a member of Governing and Academic Council of the same in 2017-2020. She was also nominated as the member of Indian Institute of Mass Communication Broadcasting in 2016. She is the member of the Board of Studies of many universities in India. Professor Singh's specialization is health communication research and communication and journalism education. She did her PhD from A.J. Kidwai Mass Communication Research Center, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, and master's from Banaras Hindu University. She is also alumnus of London School of Journalism. Professor Singh has published 7 books and book chapters, more than 20 research articles, presented more than 60 oral and poster presentations in national and international forums, and more than 70 invited talks and chairing sessions. Her research is supported by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, and Indian Council of Social Science Research, naming a few. Professor Singh has visited our campus in 2017 and talked to our students. Now Professor Singh will talk to us. Professor Singh will talk on teaching the digital natives, jet lags of time travel as part of the faculty development program organized by the School of Mass Communication, KIIT deemed University, Bhubaneswar. It's the 11th session on day 4. Welcome to you, ma'am, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Bidu. And this is a privilege for me. And I recall with great affection the meeting I had with your students when I had visited your institute, and also the tour that I took. I recall it was a very nice, pleasant experience for me. So thank you very much, and congratulations for conducting this excellent program. And today I'm going to talk about this, like I told you, about teaching the digital natives. As educators in the last few years, and especially in the last 2 years, what we have faced is that we have to actually race with technology. Every day technology is making us illiterate, if I may use that word, because you buy a new phone and you don't know anything. Suddenly you are illiterate. Yesterday you knew, today you don't. Then you have to learn. You spend a couple of days learning the features of that phone. So if one gadget can make you illiterate, then imagine that entire paraphernalia of technology, which you have to face all the time, and under which your students are actually born. They are born in this era of technology. They are a part of this, So for them, it is an extension of their limbs. And for you, it is, for me, I would say, it is, like I was just trying to see whether I can connect the video, whether I can connect the audio, whether you can hear me, whether I can hear you. I'm struggling. So like Bidu was saying, 10 years of journalistic experience, 20 years of teaching experience. And over here, I am asking this young person to tell me how to connect. So you see, this is what this whole digital environment does and is doing for us. I would like to share my screen with you so that you can see the PPT, right? Can you see this now? Is my PPT visible? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. It is.
Yes, ma'am.
And actually my screen is, I'm moving everybody on the side so that the screen is there, right? Teaching the digital native, jet lags of time travel. We are facing those jet lags, and sometimes because of the jet lags, we lag behind, and sometimes we race ahead so fast that we are able to catch up with our students. So we have reached this new position where students are learning from us and we are learning from them. This situation was always there. Throughout history in the education system, this was there, but never so apparent as it is today. Today, we actually have to go to our students so many times to learn things from them, you know, because of the digital era, right? So first we try to understand who these digital learners are. We identify the differences between them and us. We compare ourselves with our students and we understand the issues that are there, and we face the challenges and, you know, the suggestions at the end of it. This is what we are going to learn today. So I've just put it together in one slide. Okay, so what is the change? The student has changed. And for teachers like us who've been around for such a long time, I mean, the age of my student would be my total experience in teaching. So if in that case, when I started teaching, my student of today was probably in diapers. He was probably born. So you can imagine how much of a generation gap you know, is present between the senior teachers, the middle level teachers, and the students. Okay, and you know, generation changes every 3 years. And nowadays it's become faster. So probably every 2 years or every few months, I don't know. It changes as the generation of your computer changes, the generation of the user is also changing very fast. So they have changed in their slangs, in their clothes, in their fashions and styles. The examples that I used to give in class 5 years ago are not applicable anymore. The, you know, the instances I used to talk about and my cool things are not cool anymore because they are very old fashioned. So they have changed. We accept that. Okay. There is this term called singularity. I wanted to use it here because when an event, a very big event happens, it changes us forever. So this COVID situation, we would call it a singularity. Okay, that it has totally changed, fundamentally changed the way we are. I would say the entire internet revolution and the whole liberalization, globalization process was also a singularity. And that is the period in which these students were born, the students that we are teaching now, you know, those who are born between 90 and 2000. These are there with us now in different capacities. You know, they'll be postgraduate. I teach postgraduate, so I'm talking about them. So undergrads would be even, you know, younger, generation X probably. So singularity has happened and it has forever changed us. It has forever changed the relationship between teacher and student, teacher and taught. It has changed the way teachers have to now think. And that's what makes me, you know, think also, because if we don't keep pace, then there's going to be a problem for a few years till the time everybody is on the same page. But you know, the page will never be the same because the pace is very fast. So those of them who are right now millennials, they will be faced with Gen X and Gen Y. So there'll always be this gap, you know, we can't keep up with that. So this is the, you know, the digital circumstance. The exact definition of millennials is this. They are different from baby boomers before that and Generation X right now. I would think what we have right now are millennials and Gen X. It's a combination of those that we have to teach. They have spent all their life surrounded by and using computers, video games, digital players, video cams, everything, cell phones. These are the toys of the digital age. And they have been surrounded with these toys right from the time when they were very young. When I got my first computer when I was writing my MA dissertation. So can you imagine, it was in 1988, and in my MA dissertation, I was so proud of the fact that I had typed my dissertation on a computer that I have mentioned in the introduction page, that this is self-typed on a computer. It was such a big deal. So you can imagine from there to here, where we cannot imagine life without a computer, and our students will not think it's a very remarkable thing that you typed on a computer. Where else would you type? You know, so look at the gap that we already are in and we are facing. So computer, email, internet, cell phone, IMs, all these are integral parts. All the media that we used to see as separate media. We had print media, which was a separate entity. We had the radio, which was a separate entity, television, a separate entity. For them, all of them are on one platform. You know, in 1956, McLuhan had said that every old medium would be content for the new medium. And we saw it happening bit by bit. You know, when they started showing films on TV, then we thought, ho gaya. There is film on TV, content ban gaya. And we thought, that is it. We never imagined that there would be a platform which would open its arms and say, Sare aa jao. Everything, it hosts everything. It will keep the print, it will keep the AVs, it will keep interpersonal communication, it will keep personal communication, private communication, mass communication. Everything you can think of is on one platform, is on their platform. That is not our platform. We just visit it from time to time. So that's the difference. Okay, so this is the digital native. And because of this digital environment in which this person, this digital native, our student of today, he lives in this environment. He's a resident of this place. He's a native resident. Okay, native language speaking, authentic, original person who lives there. Me, I am a traveler into this place. I'm a visitor. So Mark Prensky said, there are the digital natives and there are the digital immigrants. So if you think in terms of now, you know, space and time, if you think is all getting intermingled now. So if you think this in terms of space, then there are two different places. One, which is the digital era, and the other before the singularity of pre-digital era, the analogous era. You know, these are two different places altogether. So if you imagine these are places, then somebody who visits your place and tries to learn your language, learns your language, stays there for 2 decades, even then, they will carry with them some accent. They will carry something by which you will know you're not native, right? You are a settler. You're an immigrant. You've traveled from some other place and come here. You're welcome. Come here. But learn my language because you have come to my place. So learn that. Don't keep saying, Hamara desh bada acha tha. That's what immigrants do. That's the habit of the immigrant who says that their country was very nice. Their era was very nice. All of us have a habit of saying that also. 1980s mein paida hue, they used to do this. 90s mein paida hue, we used to do this. We had this toy, we had that toy. And we are so fond of talking about these things. And for the digital native, it is like, okay, but you are now in my country. So speak my language. Speak my language. So this is the way they think. They process information differently. Okay, how? I'll just tell you. Okay, so these are digital natives. Some refer to them as net gen, N gen, D gen, digital gen. These are different names that you find in different books for them, but they are the native speakers of the digital language. Okay. And digital immigrant, that makes the rest of us, all of us, before 1980, all of us digital immigrants. We were not born into the digital world, and now we are adopting it, and we always keep comparing our respective technologies. We travel from our analog world, cross over to the digital world, and we are in different stages. Some of us would go there and settle down. Some of us would go every day. You know, I would read a book and then I would switch on my computer, take my class, go back and read the paper, hard copy. What am I doing? I'm shuffling between the two worlds. I read the paper in hard copy. I do it in the morning. Okay. I have to read my paper in hard copy. And how many trees are getting cut, I don't know. But I'm reading 3 newspapers every day in hard copy, printed on a paper, which my daughters cannot understand. That you have the e-edition, why are you reading that hard copy? But that's me, no? I keep traveling. So morning is analogous, then classroom is online media, online class. So there I am traveling into some other world, and then I switch off the computer, go back to my own world, pick up a book and start reading. Again, hard copy. So this is what we keep doing, the travelers. So we are digital immigrants or digital travelers or digital settlers. Okay. So how do we behave then? Just like any other immigrant, that's how we behave. Some adapt to the environment quickly. Some will retain the accent. Some will retain their old habits. They will keep on talking about their old country. And some will keep traveling. Some socialize very well. They learn faster. But, you know, we learn a language later in life. This is this scientific point, you know, that it goes to some other part of the brain. That means we are always adapting and always adjusting. How do you recognize if you have a digital accent, your immigrant accent? How do you recognize that? Do you take printouts of the email? If you are still taking printout of an email to read it properly, then you have an accent. Then the digital native is going to recognize that accent and say, oh, inko to hard copy nikal ke dena padega. Ye mail mein nahi pad sakti. Ye assignment inko to hard copy chahiye. And they will differentiate between different teachers and say, wo mail mein pad lete hain, wo hard copy mangte hain. They have recognized your accent. You know, do you take a printout of any document? Aapke paas koi document aaya, PDF mein kitab aayi. Or are you taking a print of that, binding it, and then reading it and highlighting it with a pen, with a real pen on real paper? Are you doing that? And this is very strong accent that you are carrying from the analog world. Then do you call people to your computer and say, ye dekho kya hai? Instead of just sending them the URL? I'm just telling you the ways in which you can recognize the extent of your accent. Look what I found. Do you take the mobile to the other person and show it? Ye dekho. Or do you just send the URL or the link and say, just see what I found? If you are taking it to them, you are actually walking to another room, showing another person your mobile phone, asking them to see something interesting. Very, very strong accent, very heavy accent you have. Do you call up people and say, did you get my email? Are you doing that? We are doing that all the time. I sent you an email. Did you get that? I'm talking on the phone. I'm actually calling somebody up and talking on the phone. The digital native doesn't do that. They sent an email and they recognize that that is enough communication. So you can, recognize how far your accent is, how strong your accent is by all this behavior. So it's our challenge. It's our challenge and only our challenge. When this generation I'm hoping that there will be no problem when the generations start to match. But I believe now that there will always be a problem because generations will never match. They will always be a step ahead of those who are right now. So we are the in-between generation. So we have to work very hard. Every time you meet your students, they'll be 20, 25 years behind you, ahead of you. You will always be behind. So there is always a race. And technology is not stopping, it's not stopping. It's going to change further. So you will always face this problem, which I am facing today, or some of my colleagues are facing today. Every generation of teacher is going to face this problem. It's always going to be there, okay? This point, the fourth point, to the digital natives, how do we appear? When we enter the class, they feel as if some heavily accented, unintelligible foreigner has come to deliver the lecture for them, because we are speaking in some other language, using some other slang, using some other code, because we code differently. And they cannot decode that. Half the examples they cannot decode. And so they wonder what kind of person is coming to teach us, who's got a totally different way of looking at things. So most often they cannot understand what the immigrant is saying. And we say that, हमने तो बड़ा समझाया, ये कुछ समझते ही नहीं है, ये distracted रहते हैं, ये मोबाइल में देखते रहते हैं, they are not paying attention, they are different. They are just different. So we have to recognize that part. Okay? जैसे हम बोलते हैं, एक word मैंने यहाँ लिया है, dial a number. Who dials? If you say phone dial kar lo, if you say that to the native, he will wonder what is dialing. They have never dialed phone mein. We have dialed, so we know what a dial is. They don't know what a dial is. It's such a small word which is so commonly used. So there are many such words. Okay, probably you can think of some also. So they and us. Digital natives like to receive information really fast. They are quicker. They like to receive information fast. They like to parallel process and multitask. These are the people who will have 7 windows open on their computer, where they are writing an email, they are writing an essay, they are chatting with a friend. They have attached their WhatsApp on their screen. They are chatting also. They are probably listening to some music at the same time, which we cannot imagine that if I am writing a paper or preparing a presentation, how can I listen to music? Because I cannot multitask. But they are doing all these 4 or 5 things at the same time and faster. They parallel process very fast. They prefer graphics before text. We make text and then we make graphics. That's the way we do things. हम dissertation लिखते हैं, पहले सारा text लिखेंगे, and then उस text पे we make the graphic. They'll make the graphic and they'll understand. Text need not be there. It doesn't matter. They'll understand the graphic. They prefer random access, like hypertext. You want to give depth to your essay? Give hypertext. Don't give long paragraphs. They'll always question, why do we have to say things in such long paragraphs? Why can't we just add a hypertext there? Because they are looking for keywords to later search. And we are looking for narrative. We are writing narratives when we write. They are just looking for keywords where they can, search and they can quickly find what they are looking for. And they function best when they are networked. You take away the network from them, the friends with whom they are discussing everything, you take that away, they feel incomplete. And we did not like, too many people talking to us when we were doing academic work or any work for that matter. But for them, it is common, talking and writing, and this is common. So they thrive on these instant gratification, frequent rewards. So things have to come quickly. It has to come fast. It cannot take so long. Ek ghante ka lecture does not suit them. But we carry on. That's the pedagogy that we have developed. We will have 1 hour lecture in the university. 1 hour lecture is not what is suitable for them, but that's what we are. That's how we think. Okay. Now we learned like this. We learned slowly, step by step. One thing at a time. Look at the way I have made my PowerPoint. They don't make PowerPoints like that. They make it on Canva. On Canva, they'll have just one graphic and arrows where everything comes out of the arrows. They'll probably just have 2 slides in which they'll put all that I have put in so many slides over here. What am I doing? Step by step, one thing at a time, one point, point after point. We are linear people. Okay, all of us are linear people. We think like that. We read papers, we read books, word after word, phrase after phrase, para after para after para, chapter after chapter, book after book. That's the way we read. That's how we are. But they are random. Everything is together on the windows. One window goes up, the other comes up. It keeps on going like that. It's not one step by step by step. We learned that way. We teach that way. We can't help it. Ours is step by step way of thinking. Even when we keep things in our cupboard, we keep them in piles. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our shirts will be kept like that. Our pens on my table will be kept in a line. You know, that's how we are. We are linear people. They are non-linear. They don't think linear in a linear fashion. There is this sentence, all of us can fill it in so many different ways. My students just don't study like they used to. I can't get them to read or to write. They have no appreciation for books or journals. You can fill it up in anything you want. So the things that we appreciate, we feel they do not. And I'm talking for all of us. All of us feel like that from time to time. So we don't believe that our students can learn successfully while watching TV or listening to music, because we can't. But they are on twitch speed of video games. They are used to instantaneity. They are used to downloaded music. They are used to phones in their pockets, library in their laptop, beamed messages, instant messaging. They have all these things. They have little patience for lectures, step-by-step logic, tell and test instruction. I mean, all our exams are based on that. I will teach you for 3 months and then I will take one exam. So for 3 months, I will keep on teaching you lecture after lecture after lecture. So we need to do something about that. We need to think about how we want to teach. Okay. We assume that learners are the same as they have always been and the same methods will work. But today's learners, there is this complaint, I read it somewhere, a high school student says, every time I go to school, I have to power down. I have to power down. I mean, if the student comes to my class and thinks that now she's going to start talking for 1 hour, I need to really power myself down, because I have to listen to her non-stop for 1 full hour while I can't do anything else, because she will want me to keep the mobile phone on the desk and not touch it. These students have already they've already started asking us if they can record our lectures. Have they not? They record our lectures. And if you don't allow them to record the lecture, they are going to record it anyway. You won't even know. So powering down is not what we want our students to feel. Powering up is what we want them to feel. And for that, we need to power up, right? So we need to start thinking like them. We need to make it worth it. And we should not blame them for not paying attention. So what should happen then? Should the digital native learn the old ways? No, that's impossible, right? We understand that's impossible. It's not going to happen. So should the digital immigrant educators learn the new way? All the time, we have to do that. It's like cultural migration, you know? So kids born into a new culture learn the language easily, while the old ones have to forcefully learn, right? So we need to learn, we need to confront the issue, and we need to see what we are doing, our pedagogy, our methodology, our methods. We will need to change. So we need to communicate in the language and style of our students. Now, this doesn't mean that we change the meaning of what is important or what is required to be taught. You know, that is, of course, there. What we need to change is something in the method which we adopt. Probably the flipped classroom is one of those things which we can do, and it works very well with these. So how do we teach the subjects that we teach? For instance, I teach history. Now I'm going to ask, if you tell me teach history in some modern method, how do I make that happen? How do I teach history in this digital language? So I have to think, how to combine the legacy content and the future content. This is a computer language. Legacy media we call our television and radio, all of them, we started calling them legacy media. So these are legacy subjects. We still have to teach them philosophy, history, subjects like that. We can't say ye sab mat padho, sirf computer padho. We can't say that. So we have to combine our legacy content and computer content or future content. So reading, writing, arithmetic, logical thinking, traditional curriculum that we have, writing ideas, or language, learning languages, Hindi, Punjabi, English, the languages that we have to learn. These are all legacy. They are important, but they are from a different era, so they'll have to be reshaped. Okay, then some of it goes further, some of it does not, like Latin and Greek. See, we stopped learning some languages for some reason, whatever the reason was. So it moves, it changes, right? Future content is digital and technological. Software, hardware, robotics, nanotechnology, genomics. Our subject of mass communication, we used to have a lot of doubt initially, whether we want to call it art or we want to call it science. Yeah, some departments called it Master of Arts, some actually called it Master of Science, some even called it Master of Technology. The degrees that we gave till the time UGC stepped in and said everybody will be Master of Arts, Journalism and Mass Communication, but still some of our faculties are in science departments or technology departments. And now I feel increasingly we are moving towards technology more than art. In journalism, you just cannot be a journalist unless you are techno-friendly. So you need to learn keep up with the technology. So the future content is very, very strong in what we have. And we have to also include ethics, politics, sociology, languages, everything in the future content. Although, language is also changing, that's also evolving with the texting, and some languages are losing their script. As you know, we want to write all the languages in English now, in English script. So that's also going through a change. Language of emoticons is a totally different language. We need to learn that and not use emoticons incorrectly. I have seen some of my colleagues use the emoticons incorrectly, but our students recognize that this is for hugging. Ma'am ne kyu laga diya? We have to be alert about the emoticons that we are using. So the preparation that we need to make, what kind of preparation the digital immigrant has to make it's a very serious issue. Although I have said it very lightly, but I understand I hope you understand the seriousness of this, that we need to make steps. We need to think about what we can do. Okay. So we make the curriculum suitable to the native. It has to be suitable to the learner now. And we need to find people to teach. This is a problem. Theoretically, we may understand that this is the topic that needs to be taught. From the industry, we may get a feedback that this needs to be taught. But I myself probably may be incapable of even learning. So who is going to teach becomes a question. And that's why I like to make this address in front of young teachers. You have to learn. You have to probably do courses and learn. So if animation is next big thing, you cannot deny. You read the FDP report every year. Read the FDP report and find out what's the most popular thing in media. This year, gaming. Gaming is what is most popular. And all our young friends are gaming. I am not gaming, but I don't know how to game, but I know that if tomorrow my students need to get a job, They need to learn that technology with which they can get a job in the gaming industry. And that's not going to happen if I just keep teaching them history as a full paper. You know, I need to cut down that little bit, add something more thought to this. Who's going to teach? I need to identify these people who are going to teach. It's okay if I cannot learn, but younger colleagues, they have to learn. So every year, read up the FDP report, find out what's in. Gaming is in, animation is in, big deal. VFX is in right now. And we are not teaching them that. So combine legacy and future content, translate the legacy content into native language, right? So learning new things, that's what we need to, learning new things or learning new ways of old things also. I'll give you an example. So we have to invent, not necessarily from scratch, we need to rethink. Now, there's this example from geography I've taken. Geography, we learn about different countries, different locations, different places, This is a generation that knows the names of all the Pokemon. 100 Pokemon names they know, like this. So why won't they be able to learn the names of places and capitals and populations and agricultural product of different places? Why will they not be able to learn? It's the way we teach. I was just reading about using cartoons as a pedagogical tool in primary classes. So we need to begin there, and again, we will need teachers to teach over there. So our young colleagues they have to think of ways and means. That's when we want to start media literacy program in schools. What do we want to start? How do we want to start teaching these young people from there? And these have to evolve from, it has to come from you. I can only give you an idea and a thought, but the program will have to be designed by my young colleagues. So we need to invent digital native methodologies for all subjects at all levels and use our students to guide us. I do that. And I do that all the time, every batch that passes out. Now the problem is I teach online journalism. I teach convergence journalism. I teach social media journalism. I have introduced all these papers in our course. I introduce them because they are the need of the hour. If I let my student go out of the department without learning convergence and social media usage and online journalism, then my student is at loss. So we've introduced that. But by the time my syllabus gets passed, from an entire series of committees, university structure, that. So there'll be the academic committee, then there'll be the board of studies, and then there'll be the academic council, then there'll be the Senate. By the time my syllabus is going through all this process, step by step by step, the syllabus is already old. When I get the approved syllabus in my hand, my students tell me, this is last year. What you are teaching us now was the technology of last year, not this year. This year it's something else. And I know because I read, and now I incorporate the change. By the time that change is approved again, it'll take 1 year. Syllabus comes back after 1 year, and then it's changed once again. So we have to keep on running, that's the race. And that's why we feel tired and jet lagged, because however we want to keep pace with the changing technology, every time we come in front of our students, they already know what we have brought to them. To know more than them is the challenge now, especially in subjects like these, which are theirs, and if we are trying to speak their language. So I always ask the students that are passing out, I ask them, what is it in the syllabus that you feel is old or redundant, and what is it you would like to include? And I tell you, they are so forthcoming. They are so nice to their teachers that they will make a list of topics and they'll tell you, ma'am, ye ho raha hai abhi. So that is one thing. Always take a feedback, not just about teaching, but about the course, about the subjects that they are being taught. Okay, with changing style, I have introduced these writing. I teach reporting, print journalism. So we have this whole news writing style, inverted pyramid. All of us learn that inverted pyramids and 5 Ws and H and write in block paragraphs and shuffleable paragraphs, descending order of importance. All we teach all that. But you know what they read? They read in shots. In shots will have the entire story in 5 bullet points. They don't read the paper. They don't read the inverted pyramids. I try to make it very exciting. Imagine inverted pyramids in cyberspace. No point really. No point in inverted pyramid in cyberspace. These are listicles. What they are learning is listicle. That's what they read. And that's what they'll write. When they go on to digital media, long stories will be cut short. Hypertext, this will be added. Links, hyperlinks will be added to the story. Every time detailing has to be done and bullet points will be required to be written. And the story will have to be 2-minute read, 3-minute read, 5-minute read. More than so many minutes, they will not read. You write a story which is a 20-minute read, they are going to just change. They are going to change. It's a 5-minute read, 3-minute read that gets read. We have to teach them to write stories that get read. Rather than telling them all about columns and syndicated columns and long essays, because we like them. We like them. They'll read an article, but that article has to have hyperlinks. So they will go to whatever portion that is interesting for them. These are the students, this is a generation that will decide the order of your story. The paper will not decide the order. For us, the newspaper told us this is the main news. First page, lead story. We still harp about it. What is the lead? First lead, second lead, third lead. We like to talk like that. Does that even make sense when it is online? They are going to change the lead with the choice that they make. So they are going to read the 5th lead. And after some time, 5th is going to be first. The AI is going to change it, They are already not just rationalizing the message and the medium. This generation is going to rationalize the audiences also. AI is already rationalizing audiences. So how much work we need to do in our thought process, that's what I'm talking about. When I have to ask them to write essays, what do I do? Sometimes you have to, because I teach interpretative writing. Now, how can you do interpretative writing unless you at least write 3 paragraphs, at least 3 paragraphs? So what do? I tell them to start a blog. Blogs, they understand. And if I want to make it more interesting, I'll ask them to run a vlog. So write 2 para, give to 1 para in piece to camera and put that in the blog, because that's how they are going to do their journalism. They are going to give live Facebook coverage, live Insta. They are going to, write a tweet. They are going to put their story in the tweet form even before it has gone into the newspaper. They are going to act as reporters and news editors and copy editors and headline writers and photographers and audiovisual, graphic artists, everything. This is the future multimedia. Future kya? Right now, multimedia journalist who's actually going to get jobs in the industry. And we are still pigeonholing them into print media journalist and TV media journalist. And we should, break those boundaries for them. We should just break it. They are, they are sitting on this horizontal line, horizontally integrated and vertically integrated media. Horizontally integrated, they should be able to work across platforms because that's how their world is. So let's not create those walls in their mind, because those walls are there in our mind. मैं तो print TV नहीं देखता, मैं तो सिर्फ print पढ़ता हूँ. Doesn't matter. But they have to do an AV with their story. when they put it on their digital platform. They will have to do it. They cannot afford to say, I don't like TV, I don't like print. They cannot say that. They will have to like everything and work across platforms. This is the digital age. We should stop creating the boundaries in their mind. So this is, I'm giving examples from what I do. Maybe that's not the best thing right now. Maybe I need to work more on my assignments and on my teaching method, but this is a thought that I'm sharing with you, right? In all subjects, in all papers, this is what we need to do. Now, this latest dilemma that I'm facing in the new format of Snapchat, will Twitter lose out to new segment? By the time I learned to use Twitter, I am now faced with Snapchat. And I realized by the time I got used to Facebook, I realized my students are not on Facebook now because they say that is uncle auntie medium. We are not on Facebook. We are on Insta. So now you go to Insta, and by the time you're doing all this, your fingers are hurting because, you know, this is a new thing for you, but you need to learn and you need to teach them like they would like to learn. So how can we assume that all natives are computer literate? If somebody wants to ask me this, that, okay, there is a lot of digital marginalization if you are going to assume that everybody is computer literate, I'm sorry, this is not an assumption. In the latest FDP report, I read that in the last year itself, rural India has increased smartphone consumption by 17%, which is more than urban India. So smartphones are being used extensively. Maybe they are being used for online education. Every student carries a smartphone. Maybe they are being used for maybe for gaming. Yes, more for gaming. You realize more for gaming because maximum downloaded app, according to the report, was Ludo King. Okay, so people are playing, and this is just one of the games. Then there are those games, PUBG and other games, which younger people play. Okay, so we are not the only teachers who thought that the younger generation is not paying attention or whatever. We all, our teachers also thought that we did not pay attention. So, but they never had to race with us. We need to race with them, and we will need to keep on racing with them. So expertise varies. Sometimes we need to, make things more in depth, more understanding, but we have to use their methods for that. Okay. So technical fluency is what we need. I'm telling you about my problems. They may not be your problems, right? Because again, there is a difference of generation between you and me, but you also may have your own problems. So understand the fluency in your, the skill set. Okay, comprehend, contextualize, critically evaluate the media that you have before you, and then make your decisions, informed decisions. Creating the ability to produce content for online. And students, most of the time, they don't learn from what you teach, they learn from how you act. They appreciate if they see a competency in you. And for that, our task becomes harder, So you have to prove it to them that I'm running this race and I'm not losing. I'm not losing. I'm keeping up with you. And the moment we teach them that, they're going to say, welcome to my world. That's what they're going to say. So, so learn to create rich media, images, sound, everything. Learn to create it yourself. Those people who are connected with me on Facebook notice that I keep on creating content all the time. It's just to show that, okay, I'm there. I'm somewhere there. I am trying and I'm there. There is this whole field of digital humanities. Earlier we had humanities, but now we call it digital humanities. I'm giving the example of digital humanities just to connect mass communication with the digital concept, right? So now we are a mass communication going from art to digital. That's what we are. So digital humanity is a collaborative subject. The way they teach and learn digital humanities, and in so many universities abroad, they've started doing that, where there are these, which which is about how growing, how much funding we can get. We'll get more infrastructure into the arts and the digital faculties. That's the next step and a big challenge that we will have to face. Don't we face it all the time in our departments? I mean, you are using this package for designing, which is not used in the industry anymore. So you teach them some package and they'll say InDesign hona chahiye. You don't have InDesign in the department. You're still teaching some old package. You don't have the latest editing software which is being used in the industry. So this, just like digital humanities has done, to create consensus amongst all and to educate our administrators to give us more grant, so that we can update our labs every year. We need to do that. That's another race that we are running. And that again, by the time you update your lab, the software is old. So many of our mass comm departments are using pirated software. It is a sad situation. We need authentic software, but there's expensive. We don't get that much grant. Then our students go out somewhere. They themselves will download something, spurious for us, and we will use that. And then they go out and they say, this is not there. We are lacking in infrastructure, which is true. But, we need to, just like digital humanities has made a place for itself. They get as much grant as the science departments are getting. So we have to look at their methods and create that consensus that mass communication departments also get grants like that. And we can update our labs maybe every semester. We probably need to update every semester. We need that kind of a grant. So we need to start small and integrate whenever possible. We can do this. I'm talking about the subjects, how we can start in our classes. I've given this example of history because I'm worried about my history paper. How am I going to teach history? So I thought of this. Wikipedia is that platform which is edited by the reader, right? Just like, in the 11 layers of citizen journalism, you have wiki journalism, so which is edited by the reader. So much of involvement of the receiver is already there. So why can't I give an assignment to update the Wikipedia pages of certain history, history pages on Wikipedia? So this kind of assignment can be given, which is interesting for them and which involves their world, rather than writing long answers in longhand. Who wants to write that anymore? So give them an assignment where they can use something online, a blog or a blog. What I do is in the final semester, I ask them to start a blog, run it throughout the semester, and every assignment that I give, either essay, it either will go in the form of a blog post or will go in the form of a vlog or a podcast, audio or video podcast, and then link your blog or your podcast to your LinkedIn profile. The moment I say that final part of your assignment is I'm going to go to your LinkedIn profile and I'm going to click on that link to read what you've got on your blog. And then I'm going to give you marks. That makes them active, because putting it out there on LinkedIn is something they understand. And then they know that what we are doing is we are creating content for our professional pages. So we are actually creating our resume. So probably they understand that, and then that works. That works for them.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your presentation. So I would, I hope I'm audible, right? If I'm not facing any data issue.
You're audible.
Right, thank you, ma'am. So I would urge all the participants to post in your questions so that we can have a short 5-minute discussion. So ma'am, to begin with, I'd like to share a concern, you can say.
Okay.
Is that like while you can say like trying to adapt to the latest generation, of course, by taking convergent journalism classes, introducing things like the virtual reality headsets and things like that. So it's really interesting to learn to be able to upgrade ourselves, I guess. But there is a little concern that I have felt. And I was reading an article a few days back which says, this was a research in 2018, which says, highlights that in most of the developed countries, there has been a stark decline in the IQ rates. And this is for the first time that has happened in several decades, because the 20th century was all about the gradual rise of the IQ of the normal people in general. So maybe a lot has to do with how convenient things are, that we are probably not intellectually engaging or trying, kind of hard enough in order to learn them, because things are so well designed and so convenient to use. So I practice some experiments with my students. I have done that. I just give two examples, not to take more than 30 seconds, I promise. Is that, for example, when I take photojournalism class, I ask the students, how many of you are good photographers? Almost everybody raised their hands. So then I covered the display, the digital display, with a black paper and asked them to take 5 photos each, and then showed them the photo on the very present, like the presentation on the projector, and they themselves were ashamed of the results, because now when they can't see the result immediately after clicking the photos, where their basics need to kick in, like
instant gratification. They need
exactly. So I try to break that, when they say that I know this, I try to break that and try to start with an unlearning. For example, when I take the film course, for that matter, I start to go back to the basics, like starting with trying to appreciate Studio Ghibli's work or even Disney's work, wherein they hand drew every frame of animation. Later come to Pixar. Of course, we have to include Pixar into the picture, wherein everything is computer generated, but while as well trying to appreciate. So I guess it is working to some extent.
No, yeah, you are right. That's the concern. That is our concern, because we think like that. But when they go out into the field, if I'm being practical, if I'm training researchers and theorists, it's fine. But if I'm training professionals who have to work within set deadlines, they have to quickly take that picture and they have to see it. So they are never going to work in the way you want them to learn and grasp that, the depth of it. For them, depth is the hypertext, believe me. And depth is where they want to go. When they want to go, they actually do. And believe in their capability. They are smarter. Maybe, I don't know about the IQ levels going down. I don't know about that. But they are smarter. They are thinking faster than us. And gadget is there. Gadget is not going away. Gadget is going to become more and more sophisticated as days go by. What is Tripathi ji saying? How can we reinvent classroom models for mental well-being of students? Oh, yeah. Overcome future challenges. This, especially in the last 2 years of this online education, we have faced a lot of challenge related to psychological challenges, yes, because we are not meeting, socializing is not happening. So yes, in education also, but hopefully we'll come back to class next semester, touch wood. So probably we will be able to help. I'm not a student of psychology, so I really don't know. I can't, actually say anything about mental well-being. And I myself worry about my own mental well-being so many times. So yeah, it is a problem we are facing. We will have to call. I think each department will have to have a counselor. I was just talking to my daughters about it, and I was thinking this, that we will need a counselor. Counselors are very few in the university. There'll be 1 or 2, but we need more. We need per faculty counselor, I guess. So maybe that. Yeah. Anything else?
I want to ask a question.
Yes, Ruby.
Ma'am, I teach new media, and I had given an assignment. I give them blogs to write, which they do. But when I told them that you need to put it in public space, you need to show your share your blog in Facebook, though they are not in Facebook. Some of them were forced to open Facebook accounts in Insta and
like Facebook.
In Twitter. They don't have Twitter accounts. That is very interesting.
Twitter they don't like. Twitter has a different target group altogether. They are on Insta.
So they were supposed to. So some of the students, they resisted it. They said that we are not ready for the public, right? So I had to give them a lot of psychological counseling to say that it's fine, you need to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
that was the first.
You remember when we were students, when we started writing, some of us would write in the newspapers. Many of us did not write at all. Some of us would start sending letters to the editors as the first step in journalism, that, you know, we should write something and put our name in the paper, have a byline. Some of us were hungry for that. So many of us were not. So many never wrote anything, you know. So there are all types, but these people, they will have to get used to it, because any journalism student has to get used to the public space. So you are right, you have to make them, you know, put it out there.
Another thing is, ma'am, I had given them an assignment to create a meme. So I thought that they will be extremely excited about it. But very strangely, I found that they were not very excited about it.
Because
So-
memes have a very negative connotation. Memes are created by trolls. Memes are created by, you know, non-journalist people. So they don't have a very positive attitude towards memes, really. Our generation enjoys memes more. You know, these are the people who are not even forwarding the WhatsApp forwards. Our generation forwards them. This generation does not. So the memes, everything that is being made, this generation is not into it. In fact, they laugh at us. Ye kya kare ja rahe hain online? So they use online totally differently. Probably you'll have to ask them, what do you want to do with your assignment? Ask them, they'll tell you. Yeah.
And most of the memes that they create are not for public consumption, maybe for teachers' assignment.
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, we are running out of time. Dr. Jatin Srivastava has already joined. We will take
Okay.
the last question. Yeah, you
Okay.
can go ahead, please. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Okay, actually,
go ahead.
Ma'am Namaskar. I have a question.
Yes.
I have seen this in the industry, and now I'm observing it in the classroom. That is the biggest challenge. Everybody wants to become an RJ. Everybody wants to become an anchor. Everybody wants to become a reporter. But the major problem is nobody wants to write the story.
They don't know that. They don't know that you cannot escape writing. You have to tell them that writing has to be done. Even if you are talking, you still have to write. Get an RJ to talk to them. The RJ will talk to them and tell them. And give them assignments where they have to, you know, do something where prior research and writing has to be done. Without research and writing, they cannot do. So when I gave my students the assignment of listicles to give 5 points on India-China situation, they had to read. They had to read 5 editorials, 6 articles. Only then they could write 5 points in bullets. So you give them assignments like that where they have to research before talking. They'll come to know that they need to read and write.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you so much for your questions. Vidu, thank you for calling me. And I don't know your name, the gentleman who was conducting it.
Yes, my name is Souptik, ma'am.
Ashok? Huh?
Souptik.
Souptik. Okay, thank you, Souptik. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really nice having you with us for your presentation.
Thanks.
I would invite Assistant Professor at School of Mass Communication, Ms. Rubilanda, for a vote of thanks before we move on to the next session.
Yeah,
Thank you, Souptik. I would extend my thanks to Archana R Singh, ma'am, for giving us such an interesting and engaging session where she told us, though we understand the words like digital natives and digital immigrants, but she gave us a more deeper understanding of it. Not only that, but she made us realize that we as teachers are all digital immigrants. Some of us are very comfortable there, some of us are struggling. So that idea that we should realize our accent is very, very important and will remain with us. So
Yes,
once again, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I extend my thanks from our School of Mass Communication, KIIT University. I also would thank our founder, Dr. Achyut Samant, and also our CEO, sir, Professor Himanshu Shekhar Khatwa, for encouraging us to have such engaging sessions. We are so enriched from the last 4 days. And now
Okay.
I would thank you so much.
All
ma'am.
right. Bye.